All good. So today, well, I am a two-time champion right now. I am on two cameras. Let me change. So I am just on one camera for the group chat right now. So okay, here we go. I am currently in one camera only. Today on my channel we are hosting a panel that is probably going to go on for a while about NFTs and creating NFTs. There will be a lot of people joining us today. We are starting out with Micheal Yeates and Micheal. I have no idea what your last name is. You are Mr.
My
EOS
official
USA.
last name is Bonin, but EOS USA Michael's good enough. The dumb Michael on this call for the argument.
And we have Lisa Chandler, who is organizing everything here. So this is the Dacathon Gaming, which I don't know what we should how I should summarize it. It's a 2-week event about everything DAC and gaming, and there's like calls from morning to evening for the last week and forward. And I think if anyone has been following the Uplift world, they have seen on that stream that there has been a lot of Dacathon Gaming streams there. And Micheal from EOS USA, so not this Micheal, but that Micheal. There's two below me right now. Oh, nice. We have Micheal there and there now. So they have been appearing a lot. Today, we're going to start about discussing the steps that people have to take to create NFTs and the different issues we can find. And the best person to start to talk about mass producing NFTs or producing NFTs at scale is probably Micheal Yeates. So for anyone that do not know who you are, Micheal, short introduction of who you are and what you have done, that would be sweet.
So I'm the chief technical guy at Alienworlds. And that's all you need to know, really. We do produce quite a few NFTs. I think we probably produce more NFTs than anybody. I think
probably.
We're probably out in ahead. We have this abundant class, which is incredibly abundant if you want to look up what abundant means in the dictionary.
I think you created the definition of NFT spam, right?
I wouldn't call it spam. That's a little bit rude.
I kid. They have
yeah, I mean, we're taking things to a new level with issuing NFTs via the game.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, when I checked today, you had over 1.5 million NFTs created under the Alienworlds. Well, I guess I should say collection, because that's the proper word for it.
It is the correct word for it, yeah.
And right now, so you have made 1.5 million NFTs. You have over 14,000 daily users the last day when I checked, which is pretty cool. And when you create NFTs, most people create one NFT, 2 NFTs, 10 NFTs, perhaps 100 NFTs. But creating 1.5 million for someone that is not technical, what are the hurdles? What do you need to do to make that happen?
Well, anyone who's not technical, unfortunately, is at a bit of a disadvantage to begin with, because you need to have the Wax Cloud wallet pop up. Which means that every time you sign a transaction, you're going to have to wait for this thing to load, then click the button, and you know, even if you approve the command, you still have to wait a while, and you have to push everything through that wallet. So the only way to really do things at scale is to make sure that you have an account which is controlled by a set of keys, and then to sign your transactions with a script or a contract, as we do.
And okay, so a contract and a script, that makes a lot of sense for me, but what does that actually mean? Like, if someone wants to create NFTs and they set up a contract, or a script, what happens if they make something wrong? How do you prevent that?
It's very hard, and you know, I spent so long. I would recommend that you use the testnet before doing anything. Before Alienworlds launched, I must have created 50 times all of the assets, because first of all you have to create the templates. I don't know if that's something we should go into.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so whenever you see a mint number on an asset, that means that it was created using a template. And a template is kind of exactly what it sounds like. It's a template to kind of stamp other NFTs. And if you want to create other NFTs, you can use this template, which would include things like the name, the image, all of the data that you would normally put in the NFT. And then when you create the NFT, it doesn't have that data. So it just refers back to the template to see what the image and everything is. So that saves an incredible amount of RAM. It saves a lot of RAM, especially when you're talking about the figures that we're talking about.
And
so,
RAM, for anyone asking, is disk space on the blockchain.
Yeah, which you have to pay for. You have to buy the RAM to use the RAM. And you don't get it back necessarily unless somebody burns the assets. So you need to be a little bit careful with it, and it does cost money. So
and okay, so that's a good topic to just take a break. So creating 1.5 million NFTs, you have to pay the RAM. That sounds like a huge cost for someone. Do you have any summary of what it actually cost?
It cost 480 megabytes, which if I use my fancy wax calculator, that would be 480, about 65,000 wax.
So
that's more expensive than it used to be.
Yeah, that's at today's prices, and actually we've bought it at lower prices because the wax price goes up and down, the RAM price goes up and down depending on how many people buy it. So the more you buy, the price goes up. So we bought it slightly less, let's say 60,000 wax. And obviously when we bought, a lot of that RAM wax was lower in price. So if you compare the USD price, it's much lower. But this includes all of our NFTs, and it also includes the RAM that we use for the random number generator. So every time somebody mines, there's a little entry added for the random number generator, and that builds up and it doesn't go down. So let's say 3/4 of that is probably for our NFTs. And it's all relative, you know. For the average person, you're not going to be spending anywhere near that kind of money. You're going to be spending, 100 wax.
Yeah, I don't think people will go and create over 1 million NFTs. And even if you do, it sounds like you needed 40,000 wax or so, and that is you bought most RAM at this price around 4 cents per wax.
It's 4 cents now, so yeah, I guess that's the maximum price we've paid.
I meant zero. Yeah, exactly. I meant 0.4 cents when I said
0.4, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Closer to 0.4. Yeah. Kilowatt.
So yeah, so that's not a big cost. And when you say that you create them on a testnet, what is what's the process there, and what's the testing?
Testnet is exactly like mainnet. It's set up in the same way, run by some guys from Sweden, I hear.
Strange.
And it's the same, except we don't have the Wax Cloud wallet there, unfortunately. So you have to use Scatter or Anchor or any kind of account which has its own keys in that way. And yeah, so I spent a lot of time on the testnet creating, recreating, destroying, writing scripts that would create all of the templates. So Alienworlds has, I think, is about roughly 300 templates, more now, but when we first started, it was about 250 templates for providing all of the assets. And you have to get those exactly right first time. If you get them wrong, then that's it. You have to create a new template. There's no delete key, unfortunately.
Yeah, the delete key is hard to find.
Yeah, it's kind of scary because you have to create 200, which means you have to script it. You can't sit there manually doing it because that's even more prone to failure.
Yeah.
Because people get tired and you type the wrong number or whatever. So I wrote a script using JavaScript and EOS.js, which would populate all of those immediately, like one by one. And then, yeah, so I ran that script many, many times with loads and loads of different test collections. And if you're going to do anything at scale, I would definitely recommend that you start on testnet first. Don't go straight to mainnet because it's embarrassing as well as costly. Like the cost is secondary to the embarrassment of having these broken templates, which everybody can see that you made a mistake.
Yeah, and it's not as that hard. To create an account on the testnet, you just go to waxsweden.org/testnet. There's a faucet. You can also get free wax on the testnet, not the mainnet. So you can buy RAM, you can create NFTs, and everything works fine. So you're using JavaScript for that, but any coding scripting language works. You just need to work with some kind signer of transaction.
Yeah, there's not very much available. Like you could use Bash, but I definitely wouldn't
Bash, Python,
that.
and JavaScript, I guess.
Don't hate on my Bash.
Don't
hate on my Bash.
Yeah, I wouldn't use Bash, honestly. It doesn't have very good error handling.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So
and neither does EOS USA in general. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't use that, but I would use JavaScript, which is quite good, and
yeah,
you can do it and then test that it was correctly entered, and that's what I did. I wrote test scripts to make sure that everything was correct, and it took weeks to write all of that and test it all and make sure that everything was correct before going ahead.
Can you send me a copy of those?
Sure.
but even when you do that, so when you have tested everything, so what you do is you mint everything, you run the scripts. When you have ran all the scripts, you look if you find something that looks wrong, and then you go into your files, you fix that, and then you run it again. Is that the process?
Yeah, so I would mint a load. I would test that the minting script worked properly, or rather, originally it was more about creating the templates, because when we had the packs, there was nothing minted originally. So the packs, when they're opened, would actually do the minting. So I just had to create the templates and make sure the templates were all correct. So yeah, it's a long process to go and create all the templates, and then I had to mint a test one for each one. And then I sent it back to the team and I said, guys, can you check that this is all correct and that the images are correct and the text matches and all the numbers are correct for everything. It's a long process, and it took weeks, I guess, to get everything correct and make sure that it's right.
I got a question that's in the chat. So I know that a lot of people that I've talked to that are making their NFTs have had issues with the image getting stuck half loading. And I don't remember any of those on Alienworlds. So how'd you get around?
I'm not sure what causes that. I think it's a problem with the atomic assets or the atomic hub.
Yes,
creation.
It is with their interface that they are rebuilding.
Yeah, I've heard that there's some problems sometimes where it won't load correctly, and then you go ahead and mint it, and it doesn't have the correct hash in there. And once it's minted, that's it. That's it. You can't delete the template. There's nothing you can do. You just have to create a new one. And if you look through like different collections, you'll see that people do this quite often. They'll have templates that have 0 assets, and then you realize that they made a mistake on it. So yeah, if you're using Atomic Hub, just make sure that I think the image is loaded and you can see the hash correctly, which begins with a Q.
Yeah.
And then you should be okay.
Yeah, and what I recommend people is to use Pinata Cloud and host their own and make sure they are pinned, because if something happens, you want to pin your own images, especially if you are building a project. And what does that mean?
That's another thing. Yeah.
How are you using IPFS, and what are you doing to prevent issues?
We use Pinata, and yeah, so we pay them to pin our images. And we use them, we actually interact with them when we load the images in the game. And they, last weekend, on a Saturday or a Saturday evening or something, they decided to rate limit us because they'd had enough of us.
What does rate limiting mean for someone that is not a techie?
It just means that they stopped serving our images. It was really nice that it was over the weekend and kind of quite late on a Saturday. And yeah, we just suddenly started getting errors of people saying like the images aren't loading properly, and so we had to kind of trace it back to work out that actually Pinata had stopped serving our images because they said that we were serving too many images and that it was affecting their other customers. So we had to kind of rush and get a special Pinata URL. So we use our own Alienworlds.pinata or something like that now. But yeah, the problem with this is that IPFS is this distributed network of machines which will host your images. But there's no guarantee that any one of them is not going to delete the image. And if they don't receive a request for the image to be served after a certain amount of time, they will just delete it to clear the space, because obviously all the IPFS is all of the IPFS combined is huge, so they have to delete. They can't store everything in the world. So after a while, IPFS generally will delete your image if it's not served up regularly. And that means if you're running a project and you're using IPFS, you should make sure that somebody is backing up that image and pinning it. And pinning it means that they won't delete it, they won't clear it from their history. So yeah, you need to be careful. If you don't do that, then somebody may delete your image, and then one day your NFTs don't work properly and the images don't show.
Since the images have a unique hash in IPFS, is there any way to restore them in case they are not pinned anymore?
Yeah, if they're ever deleted, you can always restore it, but you have to make sure that you have exactly the right image. It can't have changed, like you kind of opened it and saved it again even. Just make sure that you've got a backup of that exact image, because any small change to that image will change the hash completely and it won't match anymore. So
you can re-upload it at a new place.
You can re-upload it, yeah. So it's not all lost if they clear it, but it's just, yeah, I wouldn't like to have to re-upload the images, because I know that the slightest change to that image will render the hash completely different and it won't work anymore.
So if I am someone that has bought a lot of NFTs, I should make sure to pin all the NFTs I bought just to make sure they are still there in the future.
You could do that yourself, I guess. Yeah.
You can actually do that on Pinata, I think. You can take other hashes and pin them.
Yeah, you can pin anything you like on Pinata. So yeah, if you wanted to do that yourself, I guess that's something you could do, but I guess it's probably more the responsibility of the project who's hosting it to do that. And actually IPFS it's good to use someone like Pinata, because most web hosts won't allow you to run your own IPFS server. There's a lot of nasty warnings on a lot of web hosts to say, like, do not use IPFS on these services because you will be cut down immediately. So yeah, we find it much easier just to use Pinata, who they deal with IPFS daily and they're used to running it. So it's just worth to pay for it.
Okay, so Pinata is one of the potential issues you might see. Outside of that, so when you write all the scripts for testnet, Jose Basanta, can you please mute your mic when you're not speaking? So when you mint them on testnet, you make sure all the scripts are working, and when they are working, you move on to the mainnet. Will you mint everything on the real collection directly? Do you trust all the scripts the second time, or how scary is that?
It's really scary. Honestly, it's one of the most scary things, and the scariest thing was the land. Minting the land was like, it took 3 days just to pluck up the courage to mint it. Doing the templates for the other ones is quite scary as well, but it's not so bad. But minting the land was really scary, because it was actually minted before time. It wasn't mint on demand when the packs are open, unlike the other things.
And they can't be burned.
They can't be burned either, exactly. So yeah, they're non-burnable. So any mistakes there would have been really, really, really bad and embarrassing. Not fatal. We could have just kind of brushed them to one side and said, don't worry about that land.
I remember right. And there is an Easter egg or two out there, right?
There's a couple of mistakes in there. Yeah, there's one of the images is wrong. I think 2 images are wrong. there are still mistakes, and no matter how many times you check everything, there's always one or two that get through. I think
the kicker is those
error.
IPFS strings. I mean, it's just a garble of letters and numbers. You know, it's really hard to know if it's right or wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at the images, and we kind of looked at them via, obviously on the test net, and you can view them on Atomic Hub and see that everything's correct. So Good Vibes has one with a mistake. I think one of them is like a mountain, but it has a picture of the spring. So yeah, it's so actually I did a different thing with that to make double sure that I didn't, because there's two problems. You can mint it incorrectly, or you can mint it twice. Like minting more than the required amount of land would have been really bad as well. So with the land, I actually created a contract, and then I wrote a script which would command the contract to mint the land, but then delete it from it. So I filled the database saying all the land I want to be minted in the contract. And then I told the contract, okay, go ahead and mint everything. And then when it mints it, it deletes it from the database. So it's atomic. So it wouldn't ever mint it twice. So I took really double extra care to make sure that I didn't mint anything twice with that. And that was, yeah, quite
so a big project like this is not something you do over a weekend?
No. I mean, you could, like, yeah, okay, maybe you do it over a weekend, maybe you get it right first time, maybe you're lucky, but that's not how I operate. I like to make sure it's going to be accurate, especially when it's like, you know, it's got your name attached to it. If it was an anonymous account, well, don't worry about it, but you know, it was our project, and I want to make sure that everything goes correctly.
Yeah. And like the process, so how many different lands are there, just for people to understand?
There's 3,343 individual assets.
And out of those, did you say there was one or two that had errors?
There's
that you're open about. That people know about, okay. so
well, yeah, I mean, that we know about, there's a couple, I think two.
And I mean, when you go and do proofreading of an article or proofreading of something, everyone has been in school and put in an article or put in some kind of work and they have proofread it. There's always error left. You always have errors at the end. But these errors are immutable.
Yeah, that's it. They're done. They're dusted. They're in the IPFS hash. We cannot change it. And I think this is something which Wax put out they put out a post recently about whether it's IPFS or not. And there was quite a funny thing happened on Ethereum where some guy swapped all the images for pictures of rugs.
Yeah.
We couldn't do that. We couldn't update the images because everything is using that hash. And you remember I said that if you change the image slightly, the hash is completely different. So the hash is immutable. So that means that the image by definition is immutable as well. So that's it. It's done. And I think it's quite charming. That's what I'm going to stick with.
Usually on like collectors like error cards. They like things that are not supposed to be as they are.
Yeah, I think the content creators don't. Yeah, so there's been a couple of collections who made deliberate error cards.
Your Garbage Pail Kids for one.
Garbage Pail Kids did it. Cogs have done it as well. I think there's a couple of others who have these deliberate error cards, which are quite cool. But yeah, unfortunately, all of our errors are actual real errors.
But isn't that the kind of error you want? Like you can see the difference. Like they even name their cards error. I mean, it's not an error if you make them an error. It's
yeah, it's kind of weird to name an error card error. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But,
no.
yeah. So yeah, it is what it is. There's one volcano out there with the stats are incorrect on the image.
Yeah.
Nothing we can do. We can't change it. We could have like recreated the template and made it again, but I think it came up quite late on. We didn't realize until a little bit in that, you know, there was an error there. So yeah, so double check your templates, double check, triple check, use the test nets.
So okay, you have over 3,000 images for, well, they're not 3,000 images, are there? Or all?
No, it's
32, aren't there 32 land types? Oh no, I guess the whole card, the different rarities probably add a different.
Each different rarity, each different card, land type, planet. So the planet is on the card as well. So
oh yeah, it is.
One of those is different. So there's about 100, I think.
That's true.
So and then you have all the regular ones. So the guy making all these NFTs, how much does he love you after a few weeks of fixing small errors?
Yeah, he doesn't complain at all. He's really good. He'll just be like, okay, I'll go out and do it.
How bad?
It's Morty that does it, and he does it all. And yeah, we were quite far into the project, and you know, the tools, they all have a charge time.
Yeah.
It used to say cooldown time because everyone just kind of thought it's a cooldown time because, you know, you use the tool, it gets hot, and then you have to wait for it to cool down. Until I pointed out that actually technically the way it works is the other way around, like the time has to pass before you use it. So it's more of a charge time than a cooldown time. So we had all of the tool cards and you had to change cooldown time to charge time on every single card, and he didn't complain.
He's a hero.
Because he figured out how to copy and paste. Copy, paste, copy, paste.
Yeah, but you have to do it for every single one, and you have to export it, and you have to like double check that it's correct still, and like it must.
You said there's only 101 of them, so he probably didn't write a script.
That rings a bell. Yeah, I think that's about right.
But
there's
yeah,
some lands which are very common.
So yeah, he opened it in Photoshop or whatever he was using and edited the text layer and then exported it again. So that is like for 100 images that will take a few minutes. It will take a few hours probably.
Yeah, well, it was for the tools, which is I think
yeah.
less tools.
Okay, so these are issues I don't think most people are aware of, so that's good.
I mean, everyone, even if you're making two, you should really double check everything before you go ahead and start creating templates, because templates cannot be changed and they cannot be deleted. So once they're there, they're there.
I may or may not have done a few errors myself.
I think so many people have. I think lots and lots. I see it all the time where there's a couple of attempts and somebody's either the image is missing, or they've got some text wrong, or some spelling error, or something has gone wrong. So yeah, I would say, yeah, exactly. You can't get away from them. They're reminders, constant reminders of your own failure. So just be careful.
Yeah, okay, and this is a good question, I think. So for the two of us, this is an obvious question, but why do you choose Wax for this and not one of the other options?
Well, we've obviously been working on EOS.io software for a while, so Wax was probably a good choice that way, because I obviously know how to write the contracts. The contracts are really good. We use C++ and it's quite advanced tables, and technical things are very advanced, so we can do quite complex things. Like the mining is relatively complex, and in the grand scheme of EOS.io things, it's not that complicated. But if we were to have to do that in Solidity, for example, it would be a lot harder. It wouldn't be quite so fun to program. Yeah, so we were involved with Wax since the beginning, I guess, and we were looking for something to bring to Wax, and they have the onboarding, which is really cool. the Wax Cloud wallet is just like, we've had so much good feedback about it. Okay, it has its bugs and people complain about it from inside the community, but actually, you know, it's pretty good. You know, people can come along, they can sign up straight away, they can get going on the game within 10 minutes. So for us, that was a really big draw. The random number generator on Wax is really handy. Like you can do random numbers, but it's, you know, it's not so easy to do. It's not so straightforward, whereas they have something out of the box that you request a random number, you get a random number back. And then I guess the cost of the resources, like the cost of our Wax, the RAM, I mean. With Atomic Assets, the content creator pays for the RAM as opposed to the owner of the asset, which is a bit different from Simple Assets. Like Simple Assets, it puts the onus on the owner of the asset to hold the RAM, so for us, we really didn't mind spending that money. It might seem like a lot. I think, relatively speaking, for the size of the project, it's very low. 64,000 Wax, you know, back in the day was much lower than it is now. And even now, it's not a huge amount of money to spend for system resources. Especially, you know, if you compared that to how much we would pay for Ethereum, or how much collectively everyone within the community would be paying for gas, it doesn't even compare. You know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and your pack sales that you did collected way more than 60,000 Wax. Have you put aside this for future expenses in RAM as well, or what's the process there?
Yeah, I was just thinking about it today. We need a top up, so I'm going to raid one of the accounts and grab some RAM for that. Yeah. So.
Oh, you leaked it too early. Somebody's about to go scoop it up and speculate on you.
They're going to buy the RAM ahead of it and then sell. Yeah, I mean, people were doing that back in the day when the network first started. People were speculating on RAM and buying and selling it. I don't know how much they ended up making, whether it's profitable or not, but I think in some chains it was quite profitable because it takes off quite quickly at the beginning. I think now it's, you know, and I haven't heard anyone mention it recently, so I'm guessing it's not.
Yeah, I guess if people bought it,
they've learned not to give away their secrets that they're buying a bunch of RAM before somebody.
Yeah, we can edit that bit, right? We can go and
yeah, Anderson's watching.
but I mean, buying RAM early. You understand that the chain is meant to create NFTs. There will be more RAM will be used. It makes sense, unless you also take into consideration that you can add more RAM to the blockchain.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, is that ultimately it's a dynamic aspect, is that we can, if it gets, you know, too speculated, we can fix that problem, right? It's not a hard.
Yeah, I think that will happen eventually. We'll change it so it's gradually adding the RAM. We haven't set that on Wax yet, but it's an option to add like a kilobyte every block or something, which I think EOS does. I think it's a kilobyte block. And that keeps the speculation down and it keeps the prices down. So yeah, I think that's likely to happen eventually. I think we did actually buy a load of RAM quite early on, knowing that we were going to run this project and knowing that we're going to need a significant amount. But yeah, I mean, for general people, I don't think it's an issue at all. I think it's one of the least costs. You know, once you're looking at paying for people, designers, and you're looking at your own time, even if you design it yourself, you know, your time is not valueless. So that cost is way more than any like little RAM cost that you're going to have to pay. So.
Yeah, for sure. And so the designs of all the NFTs you made, you need a lot of them, and you just mentioned it. Is that something you have done in-house? Is that something you have had contractors for? What's the process there?
Yeah, so we totally bootstrapped Alienworlds. We didn't have any funding to begin with. We just had 4 guys who wanted to, well, 3 guys and a girl who wanted to build this thing. And so, yeah, everything was bootstrapped and we did everything in-house. I think we contracted out people to do some of it, and then other bits we did. So we kind of like tried to get the most bang for our buck with contracting out some things and then doing other things in-house. Like the images which are on the back, a lot of those were contracted out, but then the card itself and putting all that together with the text on top and the numbers in the corner was all done in-house. So yeah, we were quite, not frugal, frugal is not the right word, but we were quite cautious with it all. We didn't go out and spend a huge amount of money. It was actually, you know, most of our costs was our time. Like, you know, we spent months and months of it without being paid. And that, I guess, is the...
Yeah, but you have the benefit that you actually know and understand EOS.io and the blockchain and the contract, because you also run block producers and has done since before EOS launched and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, so we didn't have to kind of learn from scratch. We hit the road running. And in fact, a lot of the Alienworlds code is already written. So yeah, I mean, we've had a head start of 3 years before everybody else has started here. So yeah, we're not little bootstrappy people. We did bootstrap it, but we had a little advantage here and there. You know?
Yeah, for sure. And that is good. And during this process, what are the biggest hurdles you have passed and the biggest learning experiences?
So I think the biggest learning experience for us was that we probably shouldn't have used Unity for our front end. A lot of game designers use Unity because it has the full 3D effects and everything inside it. And we decided to go for Unity web version, which means that it runs with WebGL, and it kind of runs fancy in the browser. And about halfway through the project, we realized that some of our, because I think we just introduced the X dimension cards.
Yeah.
I think it was just after we did the X dimension cards that we were building the front end, and we realized, oh my God, none of the animated images would show inside.
They all got big red X's across them.
Yeah, I don't know what they were saying, because I'm not rich enough to afford any kind of animated image. But yeah, from what I can work out, they were either showing as like kind of like blurred images or just wrong. Like everything
was a placeholder. Basically, you could tell that it wasn't working, and it would put something in its place.
Yeah, so we just kind of suddenly went into like panic mode that, you know, we couldn't just render these images. We couldn't just download these images from IPFS and show them in the browser. We had to you have to read the GIF, like binary data of the GIF. You have to pull the GIF apart, and then you have to display one of the frames from the images. So I think that was our biggest learning experience, was that, you know, sometimes the smallest thing can actually bite you the hardest. And that's what it did. You know, it was the smallest thing. Is like the X dimension had a very small kind of like twinkle on it, and then that became like a major issue for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I think it delayed us. We were trying to launch, I think, sort of early December, and we ended up launching late December, and that was one of the major things which caused us problems. So yeah, I think anyone who's developing on Wax with Unity deserves a round of applause, because it's quite difficult to integrate with the Wax Cloud wallet and everything. I noticed that Cogs do it, and they actually create your own account, and they keep the keys inside the client itself. So they don't use the Wax Cloud wallet for the day-to-day interactions. And I think that's probably a good move. And it's probably because the interaction with Cloud Wallet is quite tricky from within a native Unity app. We had a web Unity app. So yeah, I think that's probably one of the things that we learned. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. And then a lot of time is spent with the economics of it all, and trying to kind of figure out how people are going to try to attack the system, and how people are going to use it in ways that we don't want to use, and we have to align the incentives correctly. And we spend a lot of time doing that. It wasn't just a normal game. It's a lot more than a game. You know, it's got a lot of economics in there, which we had to think about quite a lot and debate and try to figure out. And I'm sure we haven't got it all right yet, but.
And on that topic, how do you sit in and decide for projects like this? Because you're building a DeFi NFT metaverse, you're building the economic base layer to build a lot of cool things upon. How do you set the decision from the start? Okay, this will be our supply, this will be the type of cars we will use, this will be the attributes. How big was that process?
Luckily, each thing kind of breaks down into its own separate decisions. Like if you look at the whole system itself, it's like, oh my God, there's so many moving parts and so many things here. But then you can break it down and look at everything, like how much emissions should we do daily, and the card designs and things like that. They're not really a critical decision. Rob did a lot of that kind of gameplay mechanics, and like making sure that certain cards aren't overpowered, making sure that, you know, all the stats are correct. So we just kind of left that to him. We allow him to make those decisions about how to do that. And I guess any kind of technical implementation decisions were left down to me. And then all the legals and the business and everything, Sarah does her thing, and then we just sign the paperwork.
I was talking to somebody the other day. I heard that a game balancer is an official title, and like that's a profession for people, is to actually go in and figure out those stats and do that. But
yeah, because you don't want one card that kind of just dominates everything, and that anybody who gets that card automatically wins every kind of game. So I think Rob did a pretty good job there. I guess there's some things which are a little bit over or underpowered, and people complain constantly about things being over or underpowered. But I think pretty much he's got it right, you know, and it's shown from the game that there's nobody using one particular tool and dominating everything. I mean, some of the really high-class tools do very well, but then they're hard to find. They're very rare, so it's not like everybody has access to those. I think there's like a couple of guys who have them, Ted primarily, and this guy. Yeah. This guy doesn't even use them. So
yeah, that's mine sitting shiny, brand new in the box up on the shelf. That's what I say.
Exactly. So
refuse to use it. My #1 man.
Yeah. So. Yeah, so it's a lot of hard decisions, and luckily we got to make those decisions without too much debate. But yeah, it's a lot of decisions that all break down into very small chunks, which are easy to kind of analyze in themselves. And I think that's what's good about the game. It breaks down very well.
And now that everything is running and working, what issues can you meet now that everything works, so to speak?
Meet?
Yeah, like what kind of issues do you find in a day-to-day working environment, or is everything fluent, no issues?
Everything's running pretty well, and that's the cool thing about blockchain, is that actually you don't really need to maintain very much. It's all on the chain. So the contracts themselves run pretty well. We've had issues with various different APIs, which we're kind of solidifying now. You know, it really took us all by surprise about how much we would kill the APIs. And
how many of your vendors have cut you off now?
How many what? How many providers have cut us off? Yeah. There's been a few who've just said, look,
let's just put it this way. Multiple, the Alienworlds has been a victim of its own success. And somebody's like, oh, I didn't realize that. Well, I'll pay you more. Yeah, no, it's not about money.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's been a lot of that. There's been a lot of, oh my God, like we didn't expect so much. And then it's kind of overwhelmed services, which we thought were just like, they're just kind of, you know, like chain level services that we can just use. And then we realize, okay, actually, this is overwhelming it and swamped it. And,
but as you always point out, it didn't actually swamp the blockchain. The blockchain wax can handle way more transactional.
Yeah, the blockchain itself is totally fine. There's no problems with the blockchain itself. It's the APIs on top of that which have had issues.
Some of those extra layer services and add-ons.
Yeah, and then we had the fire the other week. I think last Saturday was it.
Yeah.
That caused some issues, and that was a long-running issue. That was like all afternoon, so that was quite a stressful afternoon.
That wasn't a simple reboot.
And for anyone that don't know what that means, a fire. So at the data center that APIs were using in France burned down, and that killed a lot of communication with the blockchain.
Yeah, we lost the machine there, and the Atomic guys, they were hosting there, and I think there's a lot of people who were, because the first time we killed Atomic, we kind of found a problem with their software, and then they fixed that. So just recently they fixed that, and so everybody was kind of gearing up to set up their own APIs and provide it themselves. But there was no hurry, like everything was kind of cool and everybody was going at quite a slow pace. And then the fire hit, and it's like a quick run around, like who's got an API? Nobody had one. Some people had like half running.
Well, that was the problem, is you grind your way through it and everybody's like, well, once you hit the Alienworld data, everything changes.
So there was a couple of people who had one, but then it wasn't ready. And even if it had been ready, I'm not sure it would have been ready for us. And so, yeah, unfortunately, we had a lot of downtime that day. That was quite stressful, but nothing we could have done about it. We just had to kind of wait and then just see what happened. So
pour some buckets of water on the fires.
I think it was long past buckets of water at that stage. It was, everything was molten metal on the floor.
And something that is good about issues like this, it's that every team learns, and this will likely never happen again. We can never know, but
we've had that problem now. We kind of realized the gravity of it all, and we learn and we move on. And it's the same with the first time, you know, we took it down and we got a lot of abuse, and it was happening during another launch, and everything went wrong. And they, to their credit, they fixed it. So it's good. It's good because it's just a learning experience, and it's showing that the chain is becoming more mature and it's becoming more used. Like an unused chain and unused API is as stable as you like. You know, it's never going to go down. It's never going to have any issues.
Not ours, but I get your concept.
Yeah, yours go down pretty much weekly. So
it's just a blip. It'll be back in about 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just keep a snapshot handy, I think.
Yeah. So that's good. So creating NFTs at scale, if you have a big project, you need to understand smart contract programming, you need to understand some kind of scripting, preferable JavaScript, because most tools are in that language. And on top of that, you need a designer that can create your NFTs. And if you do not have these skills, it is pretty hard to launch a project unless you want to pay money for teams that can do this for you.
I don't know if I'd agree with, I mean, it's different, but I think anybody can give it a whack. I think some of the people on this call I know of.
Yeah, but what I meant is like in the large scale releases with big pack sales or games and things like that.
If you're integrating it into a game and doing it on Yeates level, but yeah, I mean.
For minting NFTs, that anyone can mint some NFTs or create it at home, and that's the beauty.
Correct. That's what I was going to say, is that, I mean, it's average Joe capable. And I think Yeates was talking about, he saw somebody on chain that banged their way through minting thousands. How many was it?
It was the cryptids guys. They did like 12,000 manually.
Correct. That, like I say, you can bang your way through it. It's just
I mean, it works. I definitely wouldn't have done that, but
you can even do that with a bash script.
There you go, with a bash script. But how about this though, is that I bet you it was less of them, you know, having to figure out how to click the button than to teach themselves JavaScript or go find somebody and explain it. I mean, I get the concept of overpowering with brute force versus learning something new.
And okay, you had mint on demand, and that means that whenever an action happens, an NFT is minted. How does the pre-mint work? And you didn't use that, but I'm 100% sure you know how it works.
Well, we had both. We had pre-mint for land, and we had
true
demand for everything else. So we've crossed kind of both bridges. and they're different. They are different. So the way that you mint an asset is that you just call an action on chain, pretty much like the transfer action, any kind of action on chain, and it's called mint asset, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I just had to think that. So when you mint the asset, you'll tell it which template to use, what data to put within that, and that action can be called from blocks, it can be called via Kleos, it can be called via EOS.js, or it can be called via a contract as well. So anything that can call an action on chain can actually mint. So it just comes down to that one action, which you then have to call to mint an action, to mint an asset. And yeah, so that's what we do within the pack opener. We have a list of all the template IDs, and then we use the random number generator to choose which templates are going to get generated for that pack, and then we mint them and send them out. Do you want me to go a little bit into the technicalities of that? Because there's actually a little gotcha there. Which
I think so. I think it's good.
Many people
You're the one to respond on these questions, so that's good.
So most people would think, okay, I'll do it exactly how I just said, where you choose the template ID, you'll mint it, and then you'll send it out during the pack opening. So somebody will send you their pack, they'll say open, and then you'll do all that and send it out. But you can't actually do that because whenever somebody receives an asset, they can have the opportunity to respond to that with code. So they can install a contract into their account. And when you mint an asset to them, they can then respond to that and they can do whatever they like. They can send you back another asset, or they can assert, which means that they throw an error. So the way that everything works whilst minting during a pack opening is that they'll choose the template IDs, but then they'll store them somewhere. And then there's a second action which the pack opener has to call, which is claim. So you have to then claim those template IDs, because otherwise, if you choose the templates and then send them out, they can throw an error if they don't like what you're sending them. So they may say, oh, it's like 5 commons, no way. And they'll throw an error. And then they'll try again and they get a mythical and they'll be like, yes, I'll take that. So you have to be very careful, because I've seen some people write pack openers which are liable to that bug, so that people can basically choose what they want to have in the pack.
So how do we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just told you how to do it, Anders.
I just told you exactly. You write a contract and you assert when you don't like what's being minted to you. So so that's why.
So one question that Bruce did have was talking about is the action of pack opening the same as minting the card? They're stacked together into one sequence. They're actually 2 actions.
Yeah, the actual minting takes place during the claim action.
Correct.
Like you'll normally have an open action. So normally the case is you'll send the pack to whoever, to the contract, then you call open, and then you'll call claim. So open chooses the templates, and then claim will actually mint them to you, so that the templates are already chosen when you claim. And that's why a lot of the pack openings have resulted in people with these unclaimed cards. But that's because the second claim action wasn't happening for whatever reason. The front end didn't trigger it, or some error somewhere. Normally during a high peak time, the second action won't happen. So that's why you can go on chain and you can manually call that action yourself to get your cards.
And the NFTs are not minted until you hit that claim button.
Yeah, which is why people got quite upset that I think like during a couple of pack openings, the claiming hasn't been happening, and then people sit there for hours and then realize that nothing actually got delivered. I think Dead Mouse was quite bad, because it kind of looked as if you had received the cards, but you hadn't received the cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people didn't receive them, and therefore they received lower mint or higher mint
Go
numbers.
Pepe had some issues there as well, where users got to try to claim the wrong pack ID when they hit the claim button, and that doesn't work because you can't claim another person's pack, so then it failed.
Yeah, so we did something a little bit different. You'll notice we don't have that secondary claim action. We just have the open, and then the open starts off a deferred transaction, which will then claim for you. So I wrote that because I think it's just a little bit more reliable, and we haven't had any problems with it so far. Is
there any risk by doing it your way, or why is not everyone doing that?
So the reason I got for not doing that is that I think it's just the way that the front end is normally set up for some of the other pack openings, whereby they need that claim to show the animation somehow.
Okay.
So we don't do that. We just wait for the pack to come out, and then we'll show you your cards flash up. But other pack openers, they kind of have this sequence that needs to happen for them to show the animation and then do the pack opening and everything. So I think it's just a technical problem that they probably didn't consider too much at the beginning, and they thought it would be fine. But it works most of the time. Just sometimes it doesn't work, and it's kind of annoying when it doesn't.
Yeah, I guess it is.
So that's how it works with the mint on demand, and I think almost all of them work in a pretty similar way with that 3-stage claim or send, open, claim kind of action, and the cards are minted during the claim. And then for like mint on demand, that's a lot more complicated. So you basically
you mean
pre-minted.
Exactly.
I mean. Exactly what I meant. Yeah. I'm glad you're here. So pre-minted, you mint all of your cards like it says, and then you have all these asset IDs. You have to put all those asset IDs into a table, and then they're owned by the contract. And then the contract has to kind of pick one of those at random and then send them out. So it does a transfer instead of a mint because they're already minted, obviously. And that's a lot more complicated than it sounds. It sounds actually quite straightforward, but dealing with large tables and pulling a random number from within the table without leaving a hole.
That's what I was just talking about, is that dealing with 12,000 NFTs in a table or to even find them. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's tricky, and you can't really just pull a row from the middle of a table and then the table is all okay. It's now got a hole in it. So if you pick that number again, you're going to end up with a dud. So you can't do that. You have to kind of reorganize the table every time, and you have to write your code in such a way that it can reorganize the table after a random pull.
Correct.
Without taking too long, because obviously you've only got like 30 milliseconds per action, and if you take 30 milliseconds, you're not a good developer.
Or you can do it in Bash off chain, and you got as much time as you need.
You can do hours. It off chain. Yeah. So like what?
Hours. He needs hours for it.
The problem is there's so much data. It's not a problem to do all the other stuff. It's just, I mean, when you've got a million transactions of data wade through.
Yeah. On that topic, I think we are about to also move over, because we are going to talk to, this is the biggest scale production of NFTs ever. And we are soon going to talk to community members that create their own NFTs, what kind of issues they find, what their hurdles are. But before we go there, I think we should summarize this code language and the code chat. But how many mines has there been in Alienworlds? Do you have any idea? Does Mike EOS USA know that?
I think he's more likely to know than me.
I was actually going to start calculating that. I can tell you it's about 1,400, 1,500 every 5 minutes. So I don't know. How long has it been running?
I think it must be tens of millions. It must be.
So there's a lot of people mining Alienworlds, at least.
Oh, there you go.
20 million.
20 million.
Yeah.
20 million. Okay. Not bad. Pretty good.
That's a lot of actions.
I want to know whose history node he smashed on to get that.
Using my API. I have.
Oh, that's right. I guess you would. Yeah.
So
Your
actually
history
a
node.
very easy query to make. So let me just go into. So when we mint our NFTs, we do that after a mine. If the luck is correct, then we will send off a random number generator, which will then choose a random card, and then that will mint that on demand, almost like the pack opener. It's pretty much exactly like the pack opener, where it will send it out from the, it will do the same thing. It will choose the number, then it will do the claim action, just to make sure that they can't reject it. And yeah, it's very similar to a pack opener, and obviously it works quite well because we've done 1.5 million of them so far.
I don't think it works well. I get way too few mythicals.
I don't get any.
Game's broken. I don't get a mythical anymore. So
yeah,
I
only mine too.
I mean, people get mythicals. We send out like 1 to 2 per day.
So, correct. That was the interesting thing that I noticed is that, you know, even all along during the whole scale was that, you know, because I was running those daily drops, which I think I need to fix that script, but you could tell it was about 2 a day of mythicals that you may feel like you're getting abundant to death, but somebody.
Oh, you are getting abundant to death, yeah.
Correct. But I mean, okay, you get 50 abundance, and then all of a sudden there were 2 people that day said, I got better than an abundant.
Yeah, I mean, even getting a rare or even an epic is very good. You know, you don't.
Right. The problem is you spoiled us early on when there are only a couple thousand of us.
I mean, the early people got a lot of very good stuff. They got a lot of Trillium, and they got a lot of good NFTs as well. So.
Yeah, we got those, like Lisa was talking about, those number 6 peacemakers and number 4 humans.
Josh Briggs in the chat actually says he got a mythical AI extractor 2 days ago. So
really?
that's good, yeah.
Good, yeah.
Congrats.
So they do come out, and you can win one. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Thank you for coming on and talking about this. Feel free to join, feel free to leave. I know you're a very busy man.
I think we've got another meeting we got to hop on, don't we, Yates? Anders, I guess you're not going to make it?
Yeah, no, I will not. I'm busy.
I'll tell him you're busy.
Yeah. So now we're actually going to talk about with people that are minting NFTs on a smaller scale, and we have a few here in the chat that actually do that. Myself being one of them. I'm doing it in a few different ways, but we also have, as far as I know, and Lisa might have to come in here and correct me, but we have Max in here, we have Lisa, we have myself, we have Jose, and we have, I think it was one more that should be here. I just can't remember on my head right now.
I think some too.
Yeah. So.
And actually, I know there are some other people in the chat who have been making NFTs or in the call. So if they want to speak up too, I don't want to, point them out if they don't want to share. But I see a couple names I know have made quite a few NFTs.
Yeah, and the scale of creating NFTs are very different. And what I really want to focus on, because this is more the real life for most people. You maybe you are a small artist somewhere, you want to reach out with what you're creating, you want people to appreciate all the time you put in, you want them to see it. And on top of that, you might get a wax or 10 or 100 for it. Or even just give it away for free, just to have people experience whatever time you have put into it, which is very fulfilling. And I would love to know a little bit about what kind of tools people are using, what kind of small issues, big issues. Like Lisa has experienced that she thinks that the images has been uploaded when she wants to create it, and then she mint the template and then it's not there. And issues like this. And is there anyone on the call right now that feel like, yeah, I would love to share a little bit about my process and what I'm creating? And if you want, you can even show it. I can pull out your collection if you want and show it, or you can screen share.
Yeah, hi. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today, Jose?
Bien, bien. Gracias. Well, so the tools that I use for making NFT, principle, the Adobe Suite is basic and free software like GIMP, but there's no much YouTube video to learn or to make things. So Adobe is the best option, the effective option. Also, well, when you try to make a animation, that there is a two levels. Well, your computer make good animation and you can make in a week. In the lower level, you can make in 2 weeks because the render is too slow and so many things. It is the process make very difficult.
Yeah,
But I think the NFT can make the difference. The people can join. I know people like make drawing without a tablet, a digital tablet. For me, it's crazy. It's like, man, you can break your hand making so many lines with the mouse. It's so slow. In making NFT, this different way of making or share art or value because man making a good NFT that is good and you like to share you put a lot of work.
yeah,
This Dacathon for me are very exciting. I make so many designs. I cannot sleep. It's inclusive. It's crazy, but NFT make artists or people that look to uh, more looking to more creative, we can join the NFT movement and for fundraise funds for your hardware or may or buy better tools for their creation. And people and the community very like uh, engage with the process with the artist and how he develops and learn and make better things. You know.
yeah.
That's important.
So,
I
so
think
if
NFT
it,
make for us.
yeah, just to clarify what you said for one thing, you are using GIMP, as I understand. GIMP is an open source software to edit images. You can use that for on any operating system, really. Or was that just something you recommended, or are you using it?
No. At the beginning, I used GIMP, but I give up and use Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop and After Effects. You know.
Yeah, it's a yeah. So yeah, the Photoshop, the Adobe Suite is one of the most popular tool set to use. But for a lot of people, you have to pay monthly for it, and they may not be ready for it if they just want to learn, they just want to play, they want to start designing things. Do you think GIMP is a good tool to get started with?
Mm, well, if you for me Adobe, I don't pay really Adobe. I use a portable option. But if you wanna make the jump professional level, you really need to pay subscription because Adobe has too many resources that you don't have, and you save time. That's the important, making the design process more easy for the artist and let the community
Yeah.
the caption of the art. So the community is that you never know how the people look your art. O sea, you make assumptions, but you never know.
So have you minted NFTs as well, and where if that is the case?
No, I'm going to meet NFT for the hippie dance party this Saturday. I don't meet yet. And it's a bit I need to make the hash.
Yeah.
But for all the participants registered and going to make the NFT and have party with them. Also, the talking about that, the party, the design of the that I make, thinking about how can a community of humanity uh, can go to party more safety way. And maybe NFT can make the culture of that party or like the Burning Man in EOS, this ecosystem organize people. That's very good and make people trust the people if he holds two membership parties, you know, and people like to show the party that he goes, so it's cool.
Do of the art you're creating, do you have any art you can show people today, or do you want them to wait until the weekend?
I have the animation in my screen. You can share my screen.
I think you can. I think the
Later,
Lisa
wait
is
for
the
the-
boss of the show, and I think she can do that. We're waiting for screen share to work. What I am using personally is Affinity Designer, because I do not like to pay subscription at all. So I use something called Affinity Designer instead, which is a really good software for making the images. Yeah, so
see my screen.
yeah.
The format is more small, but
And it might be lagging a little bit over Zoom. It might be smoother later when it's actually minting, because Zoom is what Zoom is. Yeah, currently the frames are lagging.
it's more for the piece, the new DAC, piece DAC, that I know Lisa going to talk later about this, but this is the thing. Thank you.
Very nice. And we can see the depth on it right now because of Zoom. Zoom is as Zoom is, the screen share. I would love to see that being as smooth as it is in real life. On Zoom, it's a little bit, you see a frame a second pretty much instead of how it should be. But very nice. I could see the depth in the image, and me being a very happy big amateur in 3D animation, I do not know how to do that. I have not learned that yet, so that's good. Very nice.
Man, you need to, your computer runs 60 FPS like fast.
Yeah, I have two machines. I'm very lucky. I have two gaming machines at home. Actually, we have a third one, and I can use any of them to do my rendering. So I'm in a different position than a lot of people in that sense. Yeah, I have gaming GPUs, and that helps a lot. So, do you have anything else you want to share here, or should someone else jump in and share like their process, their tools, and whatever they are doing as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind sharing. Hey guys.
Hey Max.
Yeah, I've been listening in. Awesome conversation. Yeah, hey. So yeah, I just want to share two projects. One is a legacy NFT project, so it's like really old school, and then want to share a little more recent, few months old. The legacy one was from a project called Curio Cards. They're the first set of artist NFTs, and that was from the ones I made were from August 2017. And anyway, you got to check those out. It's a crazy story. But I just want to bring that up because it's done on Ethereum. And a few days ago, I started getting all these random messages, and I'd issued these under an artist alias. So it was a total anonymous project, and they hunted me down. These history NFT historians found me out. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to get it out there and be public with it. So yeah, check those out. It predates, the NFT standard on Ethereum and all that. Oh yeah, Lisa just posted a link too, which is cool. Yeah, you can check those out. And
I'm showing
really
it next to your face right now, so people
nice,
can see it.
Cool. Yeah, that one's really, it was kind of like just for fun. Like a friend hit me up, like, oh, you want to put some art on this website? I'm like, sure, I'll check it out. I don't even think I have any. Like I never even bought any from the contract. But anyway, I want to bring this up because it's being on Ethereum, there's like bugs in the contract, and like anyone who's buying them today, like I think they all sold out, but everyone who bought one, it just burnt their ETH. Like it's gone. Like so, so it's kind of funny. It's like yeah, the artist who did those kind of got screwed over, you know, like just didn't get any of that recent money. I mean, no one got the money. And then when you think about like, you know, all the miners fees and stuff, it's just it's fun to be, you know, be one of the first, but also yeah, it just brings up all those issues with Ethereum. Like they can't update their smart contracts, you know, so
Yeah.
they can't fix the bugs. They can't, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So then a recent one on Atomic that I did was called Crypto Puzzles, and I was looking for a way to make a fun, engaging NFT where the puzzle was actually, or the NFT was actually a puzzle, and so all those puzzles. So if you search in Atomic, it's just Crypto Puzzle.
In
It's
one
a
word or
collection
in 2 words?
One word. And yeah, so those are essentially, I've done 4 series of those. Try to do one a month. And the private key gives you access to a custom name wax account with like 1 million crown on some of them. Plus, I don't know if we did wax ones yet, but then there's also, yeah, just some surprises in there. So yeah, check those out. Those are really cool. It's kind of like intersection between art and a puzzle. Yeah, really, really fun. But as far as problems with Atomic, minting NFTs, the same problem that Lisa had, where like it's basically pulling like the previous hash that you used, or it's just not loading the NFT. So it's, or loading the image to put in the NFT. So yeah. Oh yeah, nice. She posted it too. So yeah, there's yeah, check those out. Those are really cool. But with other problems, yeah, just kind of like the schema collections thing is just confusing. Like I feel like a lot of artists would get in if they just, you know, had like a super easy tool, just drag it and then it's an NFT, you know, like do you want to auction it? Do you want to sell it? And then just drag the picture and issue it. So something like that. Yeah, they got some work to do on that for sure, but it's amazing. I mean, it surpasses anything on Ethereum still, even with all those bugs.
Yeah, and actually when I talked to them, Jonah is not a website builder, and he built the creator very early on, and they have been meaning to rebuild that from the start, but they have had other priorities over and over and over and over again. And I'm sure we will see something amazing once it's finished. They have hired more people to help them work and take care of the. Like when they started Atomic Hub and Atomic Assets, I don't think they imagined that before a year there was already 8 million Atomic Asset NFTs minted. There's a lot of demand.
Yeah, the scale is amazing, and so few people know about it. Like most Ethereum people are just reading the headlines and
yeah,
are looking at the prices of things sold, and they're not looking at the volume and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, very nice. What kind of software are you using when you mint NFTs? Or when do you design them?
Designing. I've always used Adobe Suite since it came out. So I'm a paid subscriber, so I got all that stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't done any 3D stuff. I'm just using mostly Illustrator.
Yeah. Very cool. And yeah. So aside of the issues that you had that the images did not appear, is there any other issues that you had when you're minting NFTs? Well, you also had the issues that you didn't make money, the contract didn't work on Ethereum, but that is old contracts, so not the new one.
Nothing new, but just for yeah, historical sake, just to realize like how powerful this new system is. The only other issue I had with the Atomic, I would say, is the RAM is kind of like, I mean, it's not confusing to EOS.io people, but when I showed it to people, they're like, what RAM? Like, what is this all about? And like putting the burden on them to have to buy more RAM is just like, it's kind of ridiculous. Everything else is so seamless. Yeah, a couple bugs in the cloud wallet, but yeah, for average people, that's a deterrent. But one interesting thing about the NFT claim links is that I've never onboarded as many people in other cryptos. So this is like the way to onboard people. Been shooting out claim links. I'm right now I'm architecting a project where there's like physical scratcher tickets,
Yeah.
and then you scratch it and it's a claim link. It's just like so easy to do. So yeah, I think even with all the bugs, I can't complain too much. You know, it's way ahead of everything else.
Yeah, it's very good. I was at an AMA on WeChat in the Chinese community today, and what I did was I created a mint on demand drop only for them. That is also a great way to onboard people and to make it fun.
Oh, definitely.
So yeah, awesome. Do you have anything more you want to share, or some pointers you have, tips that you learned along the way?
Pointers, tips. I mean, yeah, I think, oh man, yeah, maybe do a test account first on the mainnet, you know, not be attached to it. Yeah, definitely get verified if you want your NFTs to show up. That was a pain in the ass for like probably another problem is like why aren't these showing up? And I like read the documentation, like, oh, I get it. Like they have to verify you. So
yeah,
I think it's a little more clear now before you make them. But yeah, other than that, I don't think I got anything else. Yeah, thanks for hosting this as well.
no problem. Happy to do. Thanks for sharing. So, do we have anyone else that feel like they want to share the process or the tools they're using to help inspire and teach other people? That's cool. Because yeah,
I know we have a lot of.
I think David
in the
just turned
group.
on his camera, so he might be ready for the chat.
Yeah, hello. I was trying to do something with NFTs when I read these guides about how to do it and how to do drops, and I was thinking, well, how do all these people do it, right? And I saw it's not that difficult, so I thought, okay, let's do some art to try this out. And I have this land on Alienworlds, and I was writing some lore, basically some stories about the miners, what they do, and so I tried to do something to complement that, and I'm still trying to figuring that out because I have no idea. I have no idea about how all of this works, and I think most of the people in the space are figuring this all out right now. So I just watch a lot of projects and try to see what they do. But yeah, I'm looking for animation tools on Linux basically because I'm running on an old Linux desktop laptop, like old hardware, and not throw it away, just run it on Linux, right? And people suggested Krita and Inkscape and GIMP in the chat. And I don't know, it's also clunky to do animations in Linux. It seems to me.
My experience is that there are a lot of GPU issues with doing rendering on Linux. Davinci Resolve is a video editing software that also has 3D animation. That works on Linux. Well, it should work. When I used it, it has some issues. That does not work on a low budget computer though. It requires hardware. It is the kind of software that is used for big screen productions. They have a free version and they have a studio version that has some cooler encodings and cooler settings. But the free version is really powerful.
And right, like 2D animation is basically what I would be totally fine with. Like, for example, what Ken Bosak is doing. This looks like he's using Flash, but I don't know what he really is doing.
Yeah.
2D animation, right? And that's already, you can do a lot with it, and with a low grade machine too.
Yeah, AJ is the guy that is designing his art. He also did one of the animations for me. The one I did when I reached 1,024 subscribers. I released an NFT. I gave all of them away. I paid AJ to design it, and I'm happy to support some kind of up and coming designer from another place. So that's what I used. Yeah. That's very like you said that you have minted some NFTs and tried to do it on Linux. Were you an artist before? And I forgot to ask that to Max and Jose if you are artists on your free time. Max was walking around among paint and art and stuff, so I guess that he does that. But were you doing art before?
So
Well,
I sorry, yeah, go ahead.
thank you, David. Well, in the college, like 5 years, in my class, I always sit back in the room, always to draw, make dragons and things like that. But because my friends and my circle of friends, I play football and things like that, and live that like for years. And now I realize that, man, that's the thing that I like. I don't call me artist, never do that, but the make creative thing make me happy, and that's good for me.
Yeah, awesome. Sweet. And David, how about you?
Oh man, I just pushed out a drop and someone sent me not enough RAM.
Yeah, that is a good topic. And Micheal Yeates actually talked about that before. Like the account that mints the NFTs is the one that needs to have RAM, and in this case, it's the Atomic Drops X account that needs to have RAM connected to your collection. So that is actually a big topic for everyone creating mint on demand drops on Wax, that you actually need to make sure you send Wax to their account with the correct memo. So David, how does people refill RAM on a collection? Have you done that before?
Yeah. So to do a drop, basically, right, it means that the Atomic Drops X account will mint your template on demand. And to do that, it will not use its own RAM because it just would get exploited to the high heavens. And so this process requires that you send RAM to this wallet that is called Atomic Drops X. And in the memo, you put a special string that everyone that has ever created a drop has somewhere noted down. It basically says deposit collection RAM. And then you put the name of your collection, right? It has a special format. You can look that up, and on the 2 to 3 guides that are around, you can ask anyone in an Atomic Drop, in an Atomic Assets Telegram too. There's all the artists and the developers. They're very helpful folks. And so you send RAM for your collection before you publish the drop, because if you forget it, you get a lot of angry people that complain, like, how can you be so stupid? But I mean, like, it happens to everyone. I think probably to most. So yeah, that's that's a running joke for this space, I think.
Yeah, it has happened for big collections as well. It's not just the small guys.
Yeah,
but if it gets stuck, just buy RAM for it, and then you can steal the NFTs that are there.
Yeah, exactly. I have bought RAM for many big collections.
You get the first mint if you are lucky, but it didn't happen to me. Every time I bought RAM for a free drop, I got in the hundreds. I don't know how people can be so fast.
Yeah, there was actually 4,000 bots that were banned not long ago. So I think they might have been a few of those. They were reading the Atomic Drops contract, and as soon as there was a free drop, they just hit claim. Yeah, we could see it on the Street Fighter stickers.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better. There's this Telegram channel called what's it called? Free Drops NFTs or something. Free NFT Drops, right? And oh damn. And the admin asked me to be a mod there, so I just became a mod there. And so I had like day-to-day insight into how this botception every day, like it get really botted away at some point. Like drops with 1,000 pieces got botted away in a few seconds. And the last few days, it has gotten a lot better. For one, there is now this capture feature. I haven't yet figured it out, but I hear it's like very easy. I see it on a lot of drops now, or at least like 20% even on the free drops. And even on the normal free drops, it's suddenly a lot better. So something definitely has happened.
Yeah, for sure. We have one question. How do you add a back image on NFTs? And we talked about that earlier today with Jimmy D and Greg and Michael from EOS USA, that what you need is you need to add a back IMG attribute to your template or your schema in this case, and then you has to upload the image on a second location like Pinata Cloud or whatever. So you need to, the first image you can upload directly if it's less than 2 megabytes. If you want a bigger one, you should use Pinata Cloud, and I recommend everyone that is starting to get serious that you should actually go and use Pinata Cloud, because you get 1 gig of storage for free until you have to pay for it. So it's just get started, just use Pinata Cloud. You can pin your images and they will remain. And if anyone wants to know that video should, I guess, be up on the Uplift World channel by now. So that's good. Lisa, how about you? You have been minting a lot of NFTs and small projects here and there. You have some cards, you have some crown items, and what's your story about this?
If I can get a page here to share with you. Just a moment. My mouse isn't working today.
Your mouse is angry today.
On vacation, right when I need it most. So anyway, so I'm just showing you my account, and there's several messages here to let you know about. First of all, I want to point that Anyobservation has a video guide at the top of my page.
This.
You know, they've made the whitelist request more prominent right there, which is great, because that's also in their Telegram group in the pin message I learned from Max. This first one, I want to point out there's no image. And this is a recurring problem I've had, is that the collection image disappears. And I thought it was me at first, but I think there actually is a problem with that. So first I'm going to go back and show you my first NFT that I made on Atomic Assets, which is for my dog. I have a pit bull, and he's had a lot of medical expenses lately. So I went nuts. It's taking a minute to load here. The pictures are there, and made all different types of images with my dog in it, and posted some of these for $9.99 wax. And I had 2 patrons, one of whom is on the call. Thank you very much. And have put some other ones up there. But I was working for resources for my dog's surgery. So that was the first one I did. And of course. So
really you were using like GoFundMe NFTs?
I was. And it didn't intentionally, I mean, it was more just because I loved my dog, but then it turned into that as I was thinking, oh, wait, this could be something that helps. And then we had some conversations early on in the Alienworlds group about peace, because of the gray peacemakers, and which is leading to what we'll learn more about, the peace stack. So one day I just went crazy and made a whole bunch of peace NFTs, and have been sharing these with people. I think some are on the market, but you know, just as I meet or encounter people, and I have a feeling the Dacathon participants may or may not receive one of those. But it was really fun because it's almost meditative to create the art. I use Canva. At first I didn't use a paid subscription, but now I have one, and it's absolutely worth it. And a lot of fun to make the designs. The first one I started by copying the Alienworlds one so I'd get the size right.
Yeah.
And then edited from that. Now, Robert can't join us right now. He's in the official group. I was encouraging him to come on, but I think he's at work maybe. But I did, one day he mentioned about miners getting a old beer can if they mined on his land. And so before he could say no, I made him an old beer can, and he was pretty excited about it. So if I'm not mistaken, that was the first NFT handed out as a reward for mining in Alienworlds in the official group, coincidentally. And of course, now we know a lot of people give out NFTs for things, but Robert's been amazing in the group. He hands out free tools to new players and helps them along. And if you mine on his land, or if you interact with him at all, I think he might just give you a old beer can. So that was really fun to do and impactful. And then the next thing we noticed is that some of us who didn't have land wanted land. And so I set up an NFT to try to get people to contribute toward me getting an island on Veles. So far, I'm up to 110 wax, so I have a ways to go. But what happened is, as soon as people saw it, they started asking for one too. So one day we made up a whole bunch of different NFTs, and then when they burn these, they can release the wax into their account.
So what people are doing is they are backing that NFT with wax?
Yes. So like, for example, Nicholas is planning to go to nursing school, I believe in the fall.
Yeah.
And so we one for him, and it's up to 330 wax now. And if someone clicks back tokens, then they can add wax to it, right? Let's say I want to add 5 wax. I just put 5 wax and confirm, and it does our favorite waiting game, which is confirming the transaction, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. As you can see, it takes a minute.
And this is because you are in a very rural place with not the fastest internet speed. For me, that just goes, I click and then it's done.
Well, when it is slow like this, it can interrupt the creation of an image or a transaction or whatever. And I would say at least 10% of the time I have to redo it.
Yeah.
So, and you can see it went up. So now it's 339. So I will put the link for this in the chat here, if you'll just give me a second in case anyone wants to, let's see, where's the chat here? I'll do that right after then. I'll come back and do that. But so we did set it, and so that was really quite interesting and a nice way for people to see what happens if they back the NFTs with wax. And then, of course, once you burn it, you're destroying that NFT, but it does, as Anders said, release into your account. So one of the things that happens with me, because I'm in so many communities, is that people message me out of the blue, asking questions or asking for resources or help in many ways. And I do not even know this person, but she reached out and said, can you help me sell this NFT? And I had no idea how to help. So I just created this NFT, which is basically the NFT with a banner saying it's available now, and sent those over to her to share with people. So they could then inquire with her if they wanted it. I have no idea how well it did, but I'm more after looking for different models as experiments and playing with it, right? So I suppose we could look and see if it was sold. But as you know, we're not allowed to spam, which means, you know, sending NFTs to a whole bunch of people that we don't know or haven't engaged with. That's in violation of Atomic Assets rules. But if you do have a community, you could theoretically send those out to your community.
Yeah, and what you mean by not
uh,
allowed is that you will lose your verification status on the hub.
Oh, okay. I hadn't gotten that far. Hopefully, I never will.
Yeah.
So you may have recalled that the Alienworlds had a promotion for the horrors cards, and one of those was a bat. And I was going absolutely crazy that I could not mine this bat or find it or get it anywhere. And one day I literally went over the top. This is when I decided I need to slow down on collecting. But I was so upset about it, I just went and made my own bat. It was like the only thing I could do to deal with this. Now I have to thank Rob Allen, who later did send me a bat to thank me for something because he knew how badly I wanted.
That's nice.
He then said I need to figure out a way to get my bat coffee because he knows I have a virtual coffee shop, Lisa's Coffee Shop. And so someday soon we may see that bat drinking coffee. But I just went ahead and did some other animals to populate Crownlandia with that card for fun. So not meant to be a project or a game or anything at this time. But now maybe one of the more popular ones I've done is the Save the Peacemaker. You may recall, if you're in the Alienworlds official group, especially early on, that Micheal created EOS USA Micheal created a volcano where people could send in their cards and burn their cards in this volcano conceptually, right?
And just as a pointer, Ultra Rare John is in the chat and he's dying of laughter from your bat.
Oh, is he good? Yeah. Oh, love you. Thank you so much. I am obsessed with that bat. I love that bat, really. Thank you so much. So you got to do what you can to cope, though, you know. But I do take good care of my horrors bat now. So Micheal was proposing people burn their cards, and for someone who's really new to all of this, that was pretty horrifying to me. That we're putting, these our potential future friends, if they should appear someday. I didn't particularly want to be in the situation where I've been destroying them, or the humans for that matter. So it was 25 wax to put into the volcano. So he said, if you want to get these peacemakers, it's 25 wax each. And at first I was pretty excited, then I realized they were selling for half a wax.
Yeah.
So he's quite a good deal. Of course, now I wish I'd gotten every single one of them, but we did end up doing a deal as they came in. He created an escape route for the peacemakers so that we could get them in bulk, and there may be something fun to do with them soon. But meanwhile, I created the Save the Peacemakers NFT so that the resources that came from that could go to purchase these peacemakers and save them from the volcano or from the atomic acids marketplace. And surprisingly, people I've never met purchased these on atomic acids. It still happens periodically that people encounter it and they get one. So we have now evolved to creating the Peace DAC, which we're going to talk about tomorrow, to explore the concepts of peace and fighting in games and in real life, which is a little more tricky than it seems at first. It's as Rob said yesterday, there is some deception when it comes to peace and war. So the peacemakers emulate that perfectly. So that was really fun. On Valentine's Day, we did, the royal we, Valentine's for various groups. And we did some Crown Happy Valentine's Day cards, or NFTs, I'm starting to call them cards, and some Valentines. And then I just designed a whole bunch of different ones to put on the market. People would have them to be able to send to each other for Valentine's Day. And I was shocked, as soon as I made each set, someone bought the mint 1 and 2. These are only 1 wax each, so they were accessible. But every single set I'd make, someone would buy 1 and 2. And I thought, how strange, I need to make 100 of them so I can just sell the 1 and 2. But that was really fun. And it really is, to me, it's like, it's making art. It's enjoying the process of making the art and finding images I like and thinking about how other people would like to use them. And then I did a functional one, which is these message cards. And again, inspired by the Alienworlds group, there were quite a few things. Actually, EOS USA Michael asked me to do it for someone because people were sending things to the wrong account. So we did the oops, will you please send those NFTs back to me? They were in the wrong account. So if anyone needed them, they could just get this for one wax or let me know. But the other thing is we had a lot of people asking for a free NFT in the group. And again, as a coping mechanism, just made a free NFT card to give to people.
Yeah, that's
who kept
good.
asking.
Because there are like what I did today when I had the AMA in the WeChat group today. I made the drop and I set it so it required a whitelist and a key. And as soon as it came up, people have notifications on drop, and I started getting DMs. How do I get whitelisted? How do I get whitelisted? How do I get whitelisted? How do I get this? And I kept saying it's on WeChat, it's an AMA, it's only for that event. And I think I had at least 25, 30 people today reaching out for me to trying to get that NFT, which is kind of fun. And I don't. It's usually not the same if it's a wax cost, but when it's a free cost. So I think that that free NFT, it's as basic as it can be, and it has a message, so it's fun.
Well, if you need some, I'll be happy to send them over to you or anyone who needs them. And of course, we have the Burn Me for Wax, so you can, you know, if you just need a card to send wax, I mean, of course, you can send wax directly, but if you want to send a card, you know, that is one way to do it too. So you can add that, and then of course the thank you card. So I did also do a rather large set. Can you see the Crownlandia webpage right now?
Yes.
Okay, and we're actually going to talk more about this later, but I'll just show you the picture here of the star charts. As most of you know, I was rather excited and inspired by Alienworlds, and I wanted to see if I could make a card game. And Max and I have been brainstorming about making playing cards. And one day I just jumped in and started creating these playing cards. And I found I just wanted cute pictures of animals on them. It wasn't pre-planned. So we did the numbers and the cute animals. And it took 3 days to mint them, to like create it, design it, think about it, plan it, and mint it. And the idea with it is that whoever has the cards, every day a random set of 10 would be generated, and that they would share the rewards from the day before. So it's a great idea. My biggest problem with it has been manually calculating it every day. So Lucas and EOS USA Michael are working on interim and long-term solutions to do that automatically. And then we'll be able to go back, and anyone who's had those cards on those days will get their distribution. So we're working on that now. But that piece of it is formidable. So for anyone thinking of creating a game, as I know several of us are for the hackathon, or later this week when we build a game together, keep that in mind. You may be able to do it manually, and even if you think you can, it is a big feat, and you'll do much better, you know, writing a script or having someone write a script for you to pull it, because they can pull that data off the blockchain, create the random generator, and do that.
Yeah.
And Lucas is working on a web-based system, so if people want to get the number and see how it works and everything, that they can do that. And then Michael will have the script-based system to automate it. So this is a great experiment.
Uplift Art has a web-based system that does this. You can select that you need to have one or a few of these templates, and then you can randomize and get some of them, and you can send out NFTs to them. I don't know how available that is. I just know that they have built it. Mblue Crypto, his YouTube channel, has a video about it a few months ago. But
okay.
Doing it automated with a script is probably the best way.
Yeah, I agree.
It's less accessible, but it's the best way, probably.
I do have some others I'm not sharing with you today because they're coming out soon, and they are actually the first ones I designed, which are the coffee for Lisa's Coffee Shop and the places for Crownlandia. So we will watch for those soon, but they're on their way too, and hopefully gonna have ongoing rewards associated with them. So
Yeah.
thanks for letting me.
Yeah, that's good. And I'm actually gonna jump in here, and I'm gonna see if I can take this one, and now you guys can see it, but anyone on stream can't until I do. Oh, you can't see it still. I have to do this. I have to stop. I have to share it again because I changed. There. Now everyone should be able to see this. These are like I'm creating NFTs as well. What I started with was doing some badges, but what I do right now is I have these. I make these slices. I sell them every month as a subscription service to support, or like a donation Patreon to support all the content I make. So I have them for $1, for $10, and then for 1 wax. I used to have these free. Didn't work out that well when people started to mass claim them. But now it works pretty well. So especially now when the wax price is so low for people that was in wax early, this is like it's for free. And what I do later is I add drop NFTs to them, some that I mint and some that I get donated by sponsors. So I have this sub.block1 account that I send NFTs for. So here are some horrors NFTs. Here are these food monsters. A guy that's creating, he's trying his way out with NFTs. I don't know why it's not loading properly right now. Probably it hasn't been loaded a while, the hash. But you can see it here in the minimal one. So there are some gifts. He's trying his space here. He wants to do some more fancy things, but this is the start for him. So he wants to donate them. Here we see some Crown Landjack cards. They will also be sent out in the next month to people. So we have mint 2 and mint 3s and things. I kept mint 1 for myself because I got a mint 1 as well. So we have some of these cards here as well. And some of these Alienworlds that I get from mining, and we have some cards that I got when I buy a lot of NFTs, and I donate a lot of them here. And here is like this is made by a 12-year-old girl to express her feelings through art. I sent out some of these the other day as well. Very fun. Like she's a skilled one. She makes some pretty cool drawings, and her dad is helping her to mint NFTs, and she has some drops and people are buying them. You can see like this is one of them that I sent out the other day to people. I don't know why it's not loading properly here, but you could see it before. So what I do here is I sell them, like instead of asking Patreon and giving you some chat benefits, I send you NFTs because it's fun. So what I do here, I made that in this collection over 7,000 NFTs, and I have 1,300 here and I have 300 in this one. So this is the Alien World Cabal. This is yeah, that's how long this is a card. So this is this new schema that doesn't have any information yet. Who knows what's coming there, but we have some badges that I have designed and that has been sent out to. This is the OG badge that I use, and I designed these in Affinity Designer, which is a great program, great designing program. This is something that I started before. So the first thing I did on Wax pretty much is I bought the Block1 account. On EOS, that is the account that the Block1 team has. I have that on Wax because I found it fun. So I create my collections like it looks like it is from Block1 for anyone that understands it. Badges.block1, but it's not. It's my collection here. And I have a lot of schemas. I made this the first day Atomic Hub was launched. The first day Atomic assets existed. I did not understand how to utilize everything correct, because both this Anio.block1 and the badges.block1 or the B1, both of these should be the same collection because they're both mine, but I did not understand that at the start, and I made all these schemas. I should have made less schemas. I should have made one schema for badges that were different things. So what I did here, like some specials, I make some Alien World badges, and these are all made in GIMP. So these are made in GIMP, which is a free open source software. So you can see they are used in different kind of layers. So all of them are made in GIMP. So or GIMP. I don't know how to pronounce it. Same with these, they're also made in GIMP. This is from the Clash Dome NFTs. I had like when they launched their tower defense game, I will increase the size so it's easier to see. When they launched their NFT game, I got like the character is from them. The other things is either I made some myself or I found some vectors that are free to use, and I started to redesign them, change colors, do a lot of editing on things, their logo and things, just to have some kind of promotion to help them out. So I have done a lot of different kind of badges, and this is made in Canva, the same one that that Lisa said that he was using, which is a tool. And yeah, I'm using a lot of different things for this. And this is the one that is done by AJ, this animation here, the one that is designing Ken Bosak NFTs as well. He loves that dude, and it's a great guy. So here we see I'm doing it a little bit better. This collection started with photographs I've taken. So this was the first NFTs I made. I took photos in different kind of places. So this is taken in Hutong in Beijing, as it is. If you look at it, it's actually a little bit hard to say that it's a photo, but it's actually a photo, it's not a drawing. I have this printed on my wall as well. Very nice. But so that was my first, okay, I'm gonna do that. And then I started to do some podcast NFTs, and I wanted to make one for each episode. Didn't happen. A lot of maintenance, and that didn't work out. I made this, like, there is a story that a guy traded a red paperclip, and then he traded it for something new, ended up with a house at the end. So he has kept trading up for a pen, and then the pen traded for something, and he traded for something else. He got some ticket, and he just kept going until he traded himself into a house. So I made these free for that reason, just to make a point. It was a fun thing, pretty much. Yeah, I guess that's the randomness one. And then I'm doing some different things, but the collection, this is what I'm really doing. So these are the kind of NFTs I made today. And these are done in Davinci Resolve, which is a free software to use. It's a high-end software. It requires a lot of hardware. The base is done in Affinity, and then I animate them. These simple animations is done in Canva, so they are very easy to do. But some of these are made. This was made by a guy in the community. This one is also made by a guy in community. This one is made in GIMP. So I'm using a lot of different tools, and I've evolved during the time. I'm testing new things. But as you see, there's more and more 3D happening, having some fun. So it's all fun. It is all fun to explore. I'm not an artist from the start. I'd never played with this before. But then I'm starting to do some things, and it's all fun. Like, NFTs is an amazing thing to work on. So yeah, I just wanted to share the process that I'm doing and everything cool that I'm doing as well. I have Blender installed, which is another another free software. I'm not sure if it's open source. I think so, but I'm not sure. But it's way too advanced for me. I'm used to Davinci Resolve because I edit all my videos for YouTube and such in that software. So it's more friendly for me. Yeah. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with NFTs. And you just need to take some time to learn it. I mean, cool 3D animations, if you want to render it, you need a good hardware. You need a good computer for it. There's a reason why people pay $9,000 for a GPU if you're working with it, and you have a server farm to render. But you don't need a server farm, you just need a decent GPU, like a few generations back, and that works. Yeah. So everyone in the chat right now, what's your take on this? Do we have anything else we should add? We have been on here exactly 2 hours right now, so that was very good timing, to be honest. This was, I hope everyone watching also learned. I don't know if anyone in the Zoom call wants to add something before we call this a day. Well, you still have more things to do. For me, it's 8 p.m. in the evening. I'm gonna chill a little bit after this. Probably gonna play some Minecraft. Yeah, Dealey, feel free to share your collection in chat. Yeah, we have a lot of things said. So we have a Zoom chat, and they are actually writing there right now. They are not writing in the YouTube chat, but yeah, feel free to share it. I can show it as well. What's next on the schedule, Lisa? What can people expect today and tomorrow?
Well, next we have our daily open call for an hour. So anyone who wants to chit chat, feel free to join in. It's the same Zoom link, and it's also on the schedule, which is linked at Dacathon.com. So that goes for an hour. And then after that, those who want are going to hang out and very informally just make NFTs together in a workshop. So whether you've done it or not before and just want to ask questions or start for the first time, come on in and we'll figure it out together. And then after 2 hours of that, we have the MetaDAC custodians meeting. So MetaDAC is the DAC that was created at the first Dacathon. And we have 2 custodians on right now, myself and Max. And that will be a call anyone's welcome to join as we have our weekly call. So that is the schedule for today. And then we have, just to touch on it, a full day tomorrow as well, which is New DAC Day. So we start at 6 a.m. Pacific with the Uplifters show, and then we go into some community discussions about new potential DACs or groups using potentially DAC concepts, including Peace DAC, crypto speakers, Latin DAC, DAC Cafe, the Alienworlds Community Network, which is a production team, and Crownlandia. And after that, in the Pacific time afternoon, we have Luke Stokes joining us to share his new TheoDAC software that he's been creating, and also to work with the Uplift World team on possible governance structures for the towns in the Uplift World. So today is Making NFT Day, tomorrow is New DAC Day. And there's a whole bunch more on the schedule, so feel free to check it at dacathon.com. But it's a lot in a few weeks, but people seem to really be enjoying it and getting a lot out of it. We've gotten some amazing messages. So thank you so much, Anders. It's been an amazing day having you on the show earlier and now here today too. It's extremely helpful, and like it was said in the chat, it's like a whole college course in 2 hours. So we greatly appreciate it.
Very happy to be
thanks so
here.
much, Anders. Great
Very happy
content,
to be
man.
here. Yeah, thanks you. And for anyone that wants to learn more, just keep following the Dacathon and all my on my YouTube channel, on my Twitter, on my Medium. I keep posting out educational posts, mostly about NFTs and crypto, but also occasionally something about psychology, because that's what I studied in university and something I'm very passionate about. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day and an awesome week. So peace and thanks all.
Nice, thank
All
you.
right,
Thank you.
Morning. Thank you.
A Bitcoin bull is all I got left. Sold my clothes, gold no less. Walls are circling, hollow hands. This man's stronger than the average man. I'm not the bubble, I'm the pin. I'm not the bubble, I'm the pin. I'm not the bubble, I'm the pin. I'm not the bubble, I'm not the bubble. Day the markets take another day to restart and refuel this moon boy ship.